I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot. Fine. Hey guys, welcome back to Rewind Reviews. If you haven't guessed by now, we're looking at 2022's I Am Groot. It's a brand new animated exclusive for Disney+. It's a series of 5 shorts featuring the seedling Groot along with several new and unusual characters, with all 5 episodes being written and directed by Kirsten Lippor. I've got to be completely honest, I didn't think I'd be doing a review for this because it just seemed like this completely unnecessary series that was just going to be an exclusive for Disney+, with it being geared more towards a younger age group, but honestly it did actually seem like it was going to be kind of fun. What this show is essentially just a collection of 5 very short 5-minute episodes that show Groot when he was getting up to all these little mischievous adventures. Some of them take place just after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and most of them take place just after Guardians Volume 2 before he becomes adolescent Groot. And as I said, they're only about 5 minutes each. Honestly, you could just blast through the whole thing in half an hour, so that's what I did. I binged the whole thing in half an hour and honestly it's surprisingly quite good and quite funny. And I've got to be honest, I was a little surprised seeing Vin Diesel's name popping up in the credits because for some reason I was just convinced that he wouldn't do this. So hearing that, yeah, he actually was involved in this and it is pretty authentically Groot with everything he gets up to, it definitely feels like this is the same character. It is a really great surprise. I love how Vin Diesel has been able to really do something with this character in the way that he only says the same thing every single time, but there's so many inflections and ways that he says it that it means so many different things. Honestly, I really do appreciate that he is dedicated enough to actually do this. And it's absolutely no different here. There's so many things that he gets up to where he has to try and communicate what it is he's saying, even though I would go so far as to say that this is a lot more closer to like a silent comedy more than anything else. It relies a lot more on like visual storytelling and slapstick rather than like verbally telling people what's going on. It's also nice seeing a few other people who were involved in it, whether it's the cameo or whether it's a few of the writers and producers and directors who are working behind the scenes, who did provide their voices for just like general characters in the background, like James Gunn even gets involved. So it is great hearing all these different voices together. It definitely feels like this is part of the same continuity and universe that the Guardians are in. The 5 episodes that we have in season 1 are Groot's First Steps, The Little Guy, Groot's Pursuit, Groot Takes a Bath, trust me it's a lot funnier than it sounds, and Magnum Opus. Each one of them focuses on just like a little different adventure that he's on, whether it's just because like the Guardians are off doing something, their own thing, and he's just kind of left to his own devices. Like the little guy is Groot basically just like building himself a little tree house and he ends up discovering like his little colony of like these little bug things, and that's all the story really is for that one. But then you've got like another one where he's like having a dance battle with some water creature, and it's this really great mixture of different stories that they're doing, and honestly they are just so joyful to watch. Yes, they are very short, they are very simple, that's all they really need to be. It just makes it fun, it is so enjoyable, it's just such a nice little series and it's so charming as well. Groot has always been one of my favourite Guardians of the Galaxy characters, and honestly if you don't like Groot, there's something wrong with it. He's such a likeable character, and even though in this he is an absolute little prick sometimes, but it's so funny what he gets up to and he is just so charming and likeable. I absolutely love the character, and I love that there's like this really sort of twisted kind of sense of humour from him as well. As I said, with like the little guy episode, you've got like all these little creatures that he's met, and he doesn't like try to be nice with them or anything, he just decides to start like terrorising them. He's like picking up the buildings and like flicking them back at them, and he's like leaning down, like blowing on the city and like causing like this massive tornado. When it comes to the animation for this doesn't feel like an animated series in the same way as like the Spider-Man freshman year is going to be. This is a lot more along the lines of like the realistic 3D animation that we would actually have in one of the Guardians movies, and it does feel like it is part of that same world. It does seem like it is done by the same team, and the animation is genuinely really good. I really like how they handle his movements and the way that he's able to kind of interact with his environment around him, and the way like all his clothes all like move and operate. I can't tell if it was motion capture or if it was just like a keyframe animation. More likely to be keyframe rather than motion capture, because of, you know, this is just like a little tiny short series. And even though there's so many people that did work on this, I'm so surprised how many names are in the credits. I don't think that this might have been motion capture. It does seem very lifelike, it does seem very realistic movements, but there's just something about it that I think maybe it was more keyframe than anything else. It's very much meant to be just a comedy series, and the comedy is really good. It is a genuinely funny series. It definitely relies a lot on like Groot being cute and getting up to mischievous things, but there is, as I said, quite a dark edge at times. Like Groot's pursuit and Groot takes a bath, like they're sort of built up as something that's going to be quite nice and fun, and then there's just like this really slightly sadistic twist to them that really does catch you off guard. I'm not going to say what it is that happens, but it's handled really well. It is kind of shocking, and it does feel like the Guardian's sense of humour. It's got that really sort of dark, twisted side to it, as well as being just like really light and fun. I like that it's kept as simple as it is. I like how it does kind of feel like those like old school silent comedies, because you can't really have the character talking very much. It relies purely on what he's actually physically doing, and in some ways it does kind of remind me a lot of like the Pixar shorts, like what they used to do, and it works really well. And honestly, it's kind of scratching that itch for me, because I loved those shorts, like, especially like with I'm gonna say like with like the slapstick stuff that I'm quite fond of, because I'm a big fan of things like Laurel and Hardy and Charlie Chaplin. Like, wasn't a humongous fan of the Three Stooges, but there were definitely elements of them that I did enjoy. That's kind of a little bit of what I got in this show, so it's definitely along my kind of sense of humour, and that's one of the reasons why I really did enjoy it. It's a series that knows exactly what it wants to be, and it just goes about and does it. You know, speaking of the shorts, it kind of reminds me of like all the Marvel one-shots that we used to get, which was like an exclusive thing that we get on like the Blu-rays of like a lot of the Phase 2 movies. And for some reason they just decided to stop doing them, and we weren't getting them anymore, and I kind of miss them, because they actually were pretty good, and some of them actually were really funny. Like we had like the Agent Carter one, which kind of gave birth to the series, and even like the Team Thor episode, it kind of gave us an idea of what Taika Waititi's kind of style with Thor was going to be like. And like all of them were genuinely really good, even like All Hail the King, which again is a really great one of like setting up things that have sort of paid off in the future. So I would like to see them come back one day, and maybe I Am Groot is kind of them sort of gearing up to go back to that in a way, so who knows. The only thing I'll ask is if they can just keep the opening titles for this, because the Marvel logo is probably one of my favourite ones so far, because all it is because it's so short, and I thought, oh, there's no way that they're going to make you sit through all like 45 seconds of the Marvel logo intro. No, literally like Groot's hand appears on screen and then he fast forwards through it. The music's also quite nice in this. It is a little bit repetitive at times, but honestly it does fit this show. It does sound really nice, it does suit the character, it's got that sort of fun, sort of playful sci-fi vibe to it. If you're going into this expecting like maybe like a Guardians kind of soundtrack, then this really isn't what you're looking for. Even though there is, I think there's just like 2 songs. I really do like the songs that they do use. One of them has actually been on my bucket list to actually be in a Guardians movie. I was hoping it'd be in Volume 3, so I'm guessing it's not going to happen, but I'm sort of happy that it has featured in the Guardians franchise somewhere. There has been a lot of talk online about how consequential this series is going to be to like the overall Guardians story, whether it's going to sort of tie into Volume 3 or any other big stories, plots they've got coming up. It's none of that. It's completely inconsequential. It's just its own thing, and that's all it needs to be. It's just a fun little side adventure for one of the characters who probably wouldn't get enough focus if he was in an ensemble. So it is just nice having something that gets you to experience something with this character. You know, there's also been people who are basically saying that the entire show is just conceived just so that they can sell more toys. And if that is the case, then Disney, I must warn you, my mind is fortified. I have never fallen for any merchandising tricks or tactics or anything along those lines. Now come Iron Man! The multiverse is in danger. Well, it's something that companies have done for a long time. Disney has definitely capitalised on it quite a bit over the years. It's never really bothered me too much. It's when it's a little bit too over the top and a bit in your face, like especially like Power Rangers kind of stuff, where it's like it's just to sell toys, but they're sort of doing it in a way that you don't really notice it. But with something like I Am Groot, I don't think that this is really something that is going to be as marketed as much when it comes to toys as much as something like The Mandalorian is. I think when it comes to figures, I think it's more going to be like the Groot stuff rather than any of the creatures he encounters. I mean, there probably will be one day, but I don't know. But if that genuinely is the thing putting you off from watching this, get over it. It's 30 minutes of your life. Honestly, there's so much worse ways you could spend it. Overall, I genuinely think this is a really fun little series. It's a really great family show. I think this is something that little kids are definitely going to enjoy. It's definitely a lot of things that even grown-ups and people who just want to enjoy something can really sort of find. It's really cute, it's fun, it's pleasant. I do think it is a very funny series. I do hope we get more stuff like it. Maybe we will get another series one day. I hope that it doesn't go too over the top. I like that it's as simple as it is. It's exactly what we kind of need, and it's what Disney Plus for me is made for. There are characters in the MCU, in Star Wars, in all these different big franchises that will probably never get the attention that they need. So having little shows like this just to give them just a little bit of a push, just a bit more focus, it really helps. I had a really good time with it. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure if I should really give this a rating or not because it is just such a short thing, but I think it kind of deserves it. And honestly, my rating for this would be an 8 out of 10. Honestly, give it a go. You will enjoy it. Well, that's everything I've got to say for this episode, so thank you so much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, hit the notification button to keep up to date on everything going on this channel. I'm also available on Facebook at rewindreviews.youtube. Give me a like or a follow and I'll keep you updated on everything that's going on over here, as well as a few little things and thumbnails and stuff like that. If you've seen the series, let me know down in the comments what you thought about it, what your favourite episode was, what character would you like to see get a short series like this in the future. And as always, if you have any suggestions for any movies, TV shows, games that you'd like me to take a look at and do a rewind review for, let me know in the comments. I've also very recently just passed 30 subscribers, and honestly I really am appreciating all the support that I am getting, all the people who have liked, commented, got in touch. Honestly, I really do appreciate it, so thank you so much. One last time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on Rewind Reviews. See you guys.